For as long as I could remember, the lake behind my property had been my sanctuary. Quiet, private, and legally part of my land, it was where I spent my weekends fishing, boating, and watching the sunset with a cold drink in hand. Life was good until the HOA got a new president, Karen Whitmore. Now, I've dealt with annoying neighbors before. Loud parties, barking dogs, even one guy who tried to mow his lawn at midnight. But Karen was a different breed entirely. It started small. First, she politely requested that I remove the old wooden dock, claiming it was an eyesore and violated neighborhood aesthetic standards. I laughed it off. The dock had been there for decades, built by my grandfather. Besides, it was on my land, and I had the deed to prove it. Then she escalated. One afternoon, I came home from the grocery store to find a bright orange sticker slapped on my boat windshield. Unauthorized watercraft, violation number 47B. I peeled it off, annoyed but not surprised. The next morning, my boat was gone. At first, I thought it had been stolen, but then I saw the security footage from one of my trail cams. Karen, in broad daylight, directing a towboat crew she'd hired to drag my boat out to the middle of the lake and sink it. She stood on the shore with a smug look, arms crossed, watching it disappear beneath the surface. That was the moment I snapped. She might have been the president of the HOA, but the lake was mine. And if she thought I was just going to let that slide, she had another thing coming. I didn't sleep much that night. I just sat on my porch, staring out at the ripples on the lake where my boat used to float. Karen had made a big mistake, a legal one, and I was going to make sure she paid for it, publicly. The next morning, I drove down to the county records office. I brought my deed, property surveys, and everything else I had. As I suspected, the entire lake was private property, owned by me. The HOA had zero jurisdiction over it, but they'd been acting like it was theirs for years, posting rules, issuing fines, even holding HOA paddleboat parties on it. That ends now. I called my lawyer and explained everything. He laughed so hard I thought he might choke on his coffee. "You're telling me she sank your boat on your private lake? That's felony vandalism, possibly environmental damage too. You want to press charges?" "Oh, I'm going to do a lot more than that," I said. Step one was cutting them off. I hired a local fencing company and had them build a gate across the only boat ramp access point that led into the lake from the neighborhood. I posted large signs. "Private property, trespassers will be prosecuted, HO access revoked indefinitely." Karen blew up my phone. Voicemails, emails. Even a handwritten letter slid under my door, telling me I was in direct violation of HOA communal use policies. I replied with one sentence: "You don't make the rules on land you don't own." Then came step two, eviction. The HOA's office building, turns out it sat partially on the lakeside land I owned. Years ago, they had extended the building during a renovation, without a proper survey or permit. I had the documents proving it. My lawyer helped me file a cease and desist order. The HOA had 30 days to vacate the section of the building on my land or face legal action. Karen tried to fight it. She claimed community interest, historic use, even tried to threaten me with neighborhood votes. But none of it mattered. In the eyes of the law, they were squatters. On day 31, I arrived with a bulldozer. Karen stood in front of the office in full suburban battle gear, sun visor, clipboard, and a whistle around her neck like she was commanding troops. She screamed about lawsuits and public disgrace as I rolled the bulldozer forward, my legal permit displayed proudly on the dash. With a crowd of neighbors watching, I demolished the illegal portion of the HOA building, brick by brick. I didn't touch anything that was legally theirs, but every inch of my land was cleared. People cheered. Turns out I wasn't the only one Karen had tormented. One guy brought me donuts. Another offered to repaint my dock for free. The dust had barely settled from the demolition when Karen made her final move. I got served a lawsuit. She was claiming emotional distress, property damage, defamation, and about a dozen other ridiculous things. Her biggest mistake? Filing it in the same county where I'd just proven she had trespassed, destroyed private property, and illegally expanded an office. My lawyer looked at the lawsuit, chuckled, and said, "This is going to be fun." In court, everything came out. The video of her ordering my boat to be sunk, The records of her unauthorized HOA events on my lake, the renovation permit she never filed, the neighbors, many of whom she'd harassed over the years, lined up to testify against her. Even the guy who used to mow at midnight showed up in a suit. The judge didn't just throw out her case, he sanctioned her for abusive process. Karen had to pay my legal fees. And to make things worse for her, the HOA board held a vote the following week. Turns out, once people realized how far she'd overstepped, they weren't so supportive anymore. She was voted out, unanimously. It's been 6 months since all that happened. The HOA got a new president, a quiet guy named Miguel who minds his own business. We had coffee once. He apologized for everything and said the new board wouldn't be stepping on anyone's property rights again. I accepted. As for Karen, last I heard, she moved across town. Rumor has it, her new neighborhood doesn't even have an HOA. Karma has a funny sense of humor. And me? I bought a new boat. Bigger, better, with reinforced hulls, just in case anyone gets any ideas. I rebuilt the dock too. This time I added lights and a small grill area. It's my haven again. On weekends, I sit back with a drink in hand, the lake calm and undisturbed. No orange stickers, no HOA fines, no Karen, just peace.